Okay, so we're going to wait a few minutes for everybody to join us. And I'm going to put some information before we get started. And of course, I don't have it ready. Looks like we got one viewer. Thanks for joining. We're going to wait till we get a few more. So I'm going to put up some information real quick. All right, getting with the program here. All right, guys. So if you're on a phone, or if you have a laptop, a tablet, whatever it may be, I'm sure by now you're able to see that we have a chat window. Anybody can chat there. You don't have to be a member of the channel or anything like that. So we're going to start with introductions. For those of you that are just here to get the specific news that we're talking about, you're probably going to want to head and just wait about 5 or 10 minutes. This will be about an hour-long video, maybe slightly longer. So you may want to bookmark it, come back later. Not everybody wants to hear, a whole hour. With that being said, first thing I'd like to do is do our introduction. So I own Section8Consulting.com. I help people that are low income and with Section 8 housing, and also talk about some of the events that revolve around that. So in addition to that, I want to introduce my co-host today. As many of you know, I rescue animals, cats, dogs, and so on. So we're going to cover that real quick. Let's see if I can lure one over here, because I know you all like the cats, at least my normal viewers. Papa, come in. Let's see if I can bait him. No, come here. No. So everybody's always asking about the cats. So here's one. This was Cupcake. He was thrown out of a window of a car because the owners no longer wanted the dollar store toy. Some people treat pets that way. When they move, they'll simply, throw them out the window of a car while they're passing down the freeway and shit like that. So I do rescue these cats. Some of them lost arms, legs, and so on. So anyways, moving on from that, I want to tell you one story, and then we're going to get on with the news. And technically, this is news. Spoke with a client today, and I'm not going to tell anybody what her name is, and I'm going to kind of blur the details a bit. So the person that she had problems with is unable to identify who she is. She is a veteran of the United States Air Force. She served our country for 4 years. The gentleman she was in a relationship with stabbed her close to 20 times. Cleared off, in defense, cleared off nearly all the fingers on one hand, as you might when you're trying to block or defend yourself. And so I want to congratulate the city of Los Angeles and the Orange County area for doing absolutely not a fucking thing for that lady. She literally is homeless because nobody would help her, despite being ravished. So this is the kind of stuff, as I've warned you all, about dealing with housing authorities and dealing with people that do a bunch of talking and don't do anything. This woman's life has been ripped apart. This should also be a lesson to many of you that send me 200-300 emails a day because you're neurotic. I'm not suggesting everybody does it, but there are some people that do that. That there are some cases that are very important, and in principle, I really want to address those before I address something where, oh, well, I'm going to lose my home in a month. Okay, so there are more serious cases, but I wanted you to be presented with the real facts of what happens with some of these phone calls people I deal with. Some of these cases are very serious compared to some of the others that are simply at risk of being homeless. So my intent's never to make anybody feel uncomfortable, and I certainly don't want you to think that I don't want to consult with you. I'm just letting you know that sometimes these cases get serious. All right, let's get on with the news. I prepared a few things for us to discuss, and it's pretty serious. So we're going to start off with this. This pandemic, as I've been talking about it with housing and Section 8, and even if you're not in Section 8, here's the deal. It doesn't just affect those that are low income or those of you that are in low income housing or so on. It affects everybody. And after getting a bunch of details and a lot of research, I really kind of discovered what a lot of probably big news agencies have already discovered. Things are much worse than even I anticipated when I really started looking into this. So as you know, out of 100 million renters, we have up to 40 million up for eviction. Nowhere to go. That's probably 100 times what we can handle through the housing system. That's pretty severe. And this will play out starting at the end of the month. We approximately have 10 days before this kicks off. And it's not going to be fast. It'll start out slowly, and then the ball will really start rolling all the way through Christmas, probably into the beginning of next year. Here's where it gets interesting. This is not just affecting renters. We've got 2.2 million people that are on forbearance for their homes, and these are people that are fixing to lose those homes. That's another 2.2 million that will be entering the low-income housing market, and it's roughly half of Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac, FHA loans. I'm not suggesting that all the people beyond 2.2 million people will lose their home, but I think that you see both the gravity and the scale, as well as the scope of how serious it is. And so it's going to start off slowly. And I think that most of us are not going to get the true shock value of what it is until it fully blows up. And I think we're all anticipating a big event. I really do hope that the President of the United States, Congress, and others get involved, because this is a very serious matter. And, I know a lot of people think that this is just something for those in Section 8 and the poor and the criminals and all this other stuff, but that's not true. The biggest portion of society that's going to be affected by this are going to be people that were middle class in 2020. Now they are zero class, means we're broke. We can no longer pay our mortgage. We can no longer pay our rent. Now we've been demoted from middle class, and we're now going to move you down to zero class, where a lot of my clients already are. So I'm not worried about those of you that are already low income or Section 8. You guys already, in fact, understand the system. You know how to bear it, and you'll do it expertly. What I'm worried about is people that have never experienced this, because you're fixing to get handled badly, and you're fixing to enter a market that you've never entered. No, I don't want this to be sensationalized, but I just want y'all to understand just how serious. So let's talk about some of the facts of the case. So pretty much the pandemic safety net has come apart, and is coming apart thread by thread, and it's happening in more than one way. We're not just discussing rent anymore. All these federal protections and other things that are in place to protect people are, between now and September, all vanishing. So let's talk about this. So one by one, the pandemic relief programs that financially supported millions of Americans are now going away. With legislative packages worth trillions of dollars, the federal government wove a temporary. I just realized the microphone is a mile away from me. Well, that's a blunder. I don't know how many of you actually heard me, and I've never did that before, where I actually left the microphone about 10 feet away, so I feel silly. So let's move on here. So with the pandemic safety net that's coming apart, one by one, the pandemic relief programs that are financially supporting millions of Americans are going away. Well, with legislative packages worth millions of dollars, the federal government will with temporary safety net that provided people dealing with lockdowns, job losses, and worse. So, the one thing we can draw from this is that there are far-reaching protections we had through this year and also last year, and now some of those things, including the eviction memorandums, are being lifted. The expanded unemployment is now going to be vanishing, except for those states that continue to fund that on a state and federal level. So unless your state or local government has extended the moratorium further, landlords will be able to move quickly now against you, starting on the 1st of the month. There are a few remaining states and cities that they've extended it maybe another 30 days, and then that will ultimately fail. People who are trying to prevent their own evictions may have the right to legal counsel, as they do in New York and San Francisco. However, most cities do not have that in place. You simply face what you face, and you face it alone unless you have a housing advocate. For those of you that don't have a housing advocate to defend you against landlords, you would want to go to Google and then type in housing advocate plus the word, whatever the city name is, and see if you can get somebody to help you. Now it's better than later. Trust me on that. Unemployment insurance. The pandemic relief legislation made transformative but temporary changes to the way that unemployment insurance system works. But they expanded that, they increased payments, they extended the benefits for longer, and now it's going to disappear. But so we look at the federal support for those changes will expire for September 6th. That's it. So in addition to not having money, not having a job, not unable to pay rent, and have not paid rent for most of you for months, if not a whole year, the one lifeline you'll have, which is going to be that unemployment, will vanish, and in many places has already vanished. And for the rest of the nation, and I don't have accurate numbers on it, but it's pretty large, all that money will evaporate. So we don't even really have our true scope or picture of how many people actually will start to fail. So we're talking about failure, people that are already in a position to be evicted. We're already talking about homeowners who are in forbearance that cannot pay their mortgages. Now we're talking about people that will start dropping like dominoes as the months start to roll past this. So you're looking at a second wave of people that lose the insurance, unemployment insurance. And so when that leaves them, they'll be exactly where the people are right now at the end of the month. So that's another wave of people. And that wave will be much larger than the first one, likely. We'll never truly know whether or not or how serious it could be. We have to see. Nobody, it's like trying to read the weather. I can't tell you whether or not this will all come to a really bad resolution, but the important thing is to keep it in mind. It is really a shame that depending on what state you live in, because the unemployment insurance is such a patchwork of rules and how they determine how you get it, most people did not weather this crisis very well, which means most of you who received that payment, you pretty much didn't do much. It didn't help you. Then, as many of you know, we went through ERAP, Emergency Rental Assistance Program, which I helped probably about 1,000 people navigate that system. And to be frank with you, that was only a temporary patch, and it was so delayed, stalled, and done so poorly, in my opinion. And let's keep in mind, it wasn't done poorly by the presidency or Congress or the Treasury Department issuing the funds. It was administered badly by cities and states because they simply did not have the staff or telephone or phone lines simply to even meet the demand. New York was actually the last to give anybody anything, and they've haggled so long with that by virtue, nearly nobody's gotten anything out of that system, despite them collecting millions into a bank account and just doling it out as if they were coupons to McDonald's. Is that factual? I don't know. Maybe we should fact check me, but that is my opinion. I don't really have any statistical data to back that, but I often have strong opinions about certain situations. It's either going to work or it's not. And so in my opinion, that opinion doesn't matter. What it matters is a lot of people didn't get their rent. Okay. So moving on with that. Mortgage forbearance. About 2.2 million homeowners have entered forbearance as of April 25th. Now, that's not going to be including everything that's happened since then or will continue to happen after that insurance fails to be able to pay those mortgages. So the numbers could be quite frightening and could represent 30 or 40% of what FHA loans or Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac have. But it may not be that. We'll see. People are willing to fight for their homes. Trust me. I don't expect these people to give up without a fight. So again, we're not talking about low-income people or Section 8. We're now talking about the middle class that may be entering no class. So beyond that, many borrowers have continuously skipped payments since they're approaching the end of the road. They will reach their maximum term in 18 months. So there you have a third wave. And that, again, is to go back to mortgage forbearance. And again, that will collapse around, I shouldn't say collapse, that is a sensational word, but around September. So then when their payments will have to restart. And I'm going to tell you something. These banks are not interested in excuses. And if you think they're just going to let you put out a payment plan like it's layaway, $10 a month till you catch it up, you're wrong. A lot of you will be financially responsible for 100% of what you owe almost immediately after this hits, unless there is somebody here on YouTube that is in the real estate market or in the mortgage business that can prove me otherwise. So we'll see. I'm not an expert in that area. I'm just suggesting that is one of the things that could play out. At that point, homeowners will have no other choice than to make their loan service provider deal with them in several ways, which includes catch up, pay back, and with their missing payments, or they have the option of trying to borrow again against that, second loans and so on. So in addition to all of that, I think that February 28th will be the last of the last for both rent, mortgage forbearance, and also the federal food stamp program. They're cutting that off right at the end of summer. So without those payments as well. So we dealing with lack of rent, no mortgage payments, no money coming in, and then no food stamps. So all these things are going to happen between now and Christmas, to be frank with you, in the next 90 days. So you're welcome to investigate these things yourself. So I'm going to move on to talking to y'all just face to face about these things, because I know many of you face different situations and crises. So I'm going to take a look at the comments here, and you're welcome to ask anything you like about Section 8 low income housing and what you might need to do in that area. I don't handle the purchase of homes, and stuff like that. Okay. Just so we're clear, I'm not a mortgage expert. I'm not any of that stuff. So y'all have to visit a different YouTube channel in regards to that. I like to stay in my lane. All right. So let me look up some of these comments real quick. So I'm going to start with some of the first comments that were issued. Tim H, hi, question, are the real default rates and eviction rates, foreclosure rates, kindest regards? I'm taking that with some accuracy because that depends strongly on also what's being reported by news and other state and federal counties. And to be frank, even if it was state and federal administered statistics, even that can be skewed or not all that accurate. So to take it with a grain of salt, but I do think it's very large numbers at this point. I would only believe it if the White House or Congress or the House of Representatives actually investigated that. Hello, JW. And so we're going to move on to the next one. Derek Rogers, what is your cost for your service? Mr. Rogers, you can actually find that information for appointments at this link here. And I'm going to just put it up real quick for those of you who need assistance with housing and aren't able to navigate the stuff yourself. You can check out that link there. Now, the next question is going to be, JW, I don't like cats much, but he's cute. I appreciate that, JW. I didn't like cats always in my life either, but I like saving things that deserve to live. So Emily Blue says, disgraceful. Well, that's interesting. So we'll have to put Miss Emily Blue. We'll have to, let's see what we can do here. So we got rid of Emily Blue. She seems to be having mental issues in the channel, so we got rid of her. Hey, Jay. How you doing, KJ? Brianna Hicks can hear you perfectly. Thank you, Miss Hicks. I'm glad. You know, I had that, I basically had that microphone about a half a foot away, and I started the channel, started talking on the channel kind of eagerly, and I forgot to move the whole microphone. So I hope y'all caught the first part. So it looks like that Miss Emily Blue decided to use a bunch of expletives in the chat room. So I'm going to be moving that over to YouTube Trust and Safety. She'll probably lose her account. Going on next, JW, do you have landlords with new properties in Atlanta? I've been contacted with several interested properties for DeKalb and Atlanta area. None of them have come to fruition just yet, okay? The most recent is going to be Alabama, and a lot of them are California, Chicago, and many other cities and states. So, and it looks like that's the end of the questioning for now. So we have a very light crowd because it's probably still pretty early in the day. So the main thing is, I don't want you guys to be too nervous about all the things that are going to happen, but I think that inevitably, if you're in a tough spot right now, you may want to consider your options when it comes to housing and what you need to do, because as this progresses, where the housing market, as you most of you know, the housing, purchasing a house, renting, everything's going up 20% or a little bit under that. And so it's really difficult. And then you add all these new people that are suffering through the situation with housing. And so you end up with a situation where there's too many people looking for housing that doesn't exist, higher rents. And then, of course, you have problems, with trying to deal with getting payments through unemployment and other things. So my big concern is you guys being able to pay rent and so on. Looks like we got another comment. I'm going to take that real quick. So it looks like Tanisha Bryant, Governor Newsom announced that if you are considering low income, 100% of your rent will be paid. That's including past due rent. I think that's excellent. I think that's a good thing that the governor there, which state was that again? Tanisha, could you tell us what state that would be? Because all I see is Newsom, and there's a lot of governors. So, so as soon as I get that information from Tanisha, I'll pass that on to y'all. There are some governors doing a fantastic job. And I want you to know they're on both sides of the political playing field, okay? Everybody, when troubled times, everybody, regardless of Democrat and Republican, people trying to step up to the bat and do as much as they can for the people they care about. Hopefully they all care about everybody, but you know how that goes on a political level. So, Lady Leo, I'm glad to see you again. I'm so glad you come back to the channel. With all this upcoming, the storage units, we make it a killing. Yeah, I think it's probably a great business to be in right now if you own storage units, because I'd imagine most people are trying to defend their property and different things as we're struggling through this process of figuring out how many people will be evicted, where they'll go, what's going to happen with all the people with new evictions there. Of course, the courtrooms are going to be jam-packed. So those of you facing an eviction, I don't think particularly it's going to be a fast process, because trying to get a court date in the city when you've got, just as an example, I said a while back, they did a sampling of 17 cities, and in just 17 median cities, there were over 50,000 pending evictions. That's enormous. That's crazy. Then let's take a look at Miami. Miami opened the waiting list in the middle of a pandemic, and I could have told you that was going to be disastrous. Now, here's what happened. The most interesting thing I've seen in 20 years. 25% of the population of the city of Miami applied for those vouchers. That's highly irregular. That's extraordinary by any means. I would expect roughly 3 to 7% of the city to apply, but a quarter of it, even it doesn't matter if it was even Miami, to apply only for 5,000 vouchers at that. That's all they had to give was 5,000 for well over 90,000 people, but a quarter of those people applied. It tells you just how desperate the things can get. And if it's affecting rich Miami, a rich or poor side of Miami, then it tells you what we may be facing in some places around the country, if not all over. I think some people are going to weather it better than others. It's my hope, certainly, that I think people are fighters. I want to say this. Now, the video is definitely entitled to be a slightly depressing, I suppose, but I think that people have a fighting spirit. I know all the clients that I consult with to get low-income housing, they're fighters. They're prepared to do whatever. I mean, I told you that example of an abuse victim that went through so much. She's prepared to fight to get her housing. So I have lots of faith in people weathering this. So let's take a few more comments. Linda Sanders, California isn't it? California is devastated by a lot. So we already know California had problems prior to this. The cost of living in California is extreme already. You have close to 200,000 that are seeking housing, including Section 8. You have an extraordinary population. It's 20 to 50 times more than any other city, including New York. And so what's playing out in California is pretty desperate. The state has priced herself out of a market where only the upper middle class and the wealthy can afford anything. In some areas, it's gotten very extreme. I've had to send people that have requested services or me to consult with them. I've had to mail them to all kinds of different states, Las Vegas and all around, because there's simply no possibility of getting any type of financial assistance in the state of California, at least in the southern parts, because it's such a long wait. Too many people need the resource. Jessica, hello from Baltimore, Maryland. I love Maryland. I get a lot of folks from Maryland. I like the dialect. I got to tell you, people from Maryland, Jersey, and New York, you'll have an interesting dialect, just like I do from Louisiana. We talk a little Cajun. And so anyways, good to see you, Jessica. We love Baltimore. Tanisha Bryant says, Governor Newsom has announced if you are considered low income, your rent will be 100% paid, including past rent. Yes. Now, I can't confirm or deny, but I believe in good faith that Jessica has reported us good news. Linda Sanders, oh my, it's bad. Well, it's perspective. It depends if you're the person receiving the brunt of this. Are you going to be evicted? Are you the person that's going to lose your unemployment benefits? Are you about to lose your food stamps and other things you may have only for once in your life had to depend on? That's the thing. A lot of people have never, what I'm seeing is around 70-80% of the people that contact me at section8consulting.com. When they contact me, roughly 70% have never once utilized the food stamps. They've never utilized unemployment insurance. They've never even utilized anything to do with low income. And so they're stepping into an arena they don't even understand. And to be quite frank, a lot of them are ashamed, despite have been paying a taxpayer all your life. Look, if you pay taxes, my friend, if you pay taxes, you're an American, born on American soil, you can utilize these programs because that's what your tax dollars are paying for. All right. So beyond that, let's take a look. And Levita Howard says, does COVID-19 moratorium for landlords exempt new property managers from correcting the old property owners and unresolved tenant issues? So the new landlord inherits the problems. But they may inherit the current problem. They don't always inherit the liability. So really, I would have to get some more specific case details as to what has transpired from the past owner to the new owner, and then see how that would match up with federal, state, local, and county law to see what's going on. And to be frank with you, I am not an attorney. However, I have lots of experience in the area dealing with landlords and tenants and some of those issues that are to translate to what you're talking about. Robert Gillespie, I do not think food cards will be cut off. Robert, if you could weigh in a little bit more about that, I'd like to know. I have not investigated the full scope of SNAP benefits. However, there are a big portion of people that were receiving it strictly as a pandemic relief. So those of you that were receiving SNAP benefits, food stamps, whatever you like to call it, a lot of you already have been receiving it over a long period of time. I'm not suggesting that cutting that off for you, but there's a different segment of people that were using for the first time food stamps under COVID-19, and it was a temporary allotment. So I'm just suggesting that those payments for people that would otherwise be able to work will no longer be able to get those temporary food stamps. So just to be clear there, that people that normally have them are not going to get cut off in that respect. Jessica says, I'm disabled with a special needs son in substandard housing, mold, no gas, no hot water, and I have a housing choice voucher appointment. So it looks like they're doing HQS, and that's part of your HAP contract, and so they're going to be looking at the inspection. So that would be a great time to record everything that's happened, to make sure that you have a fully signed form filled out with all the issues you're having, one which can be given to the person inspecting the property. The other should be immediately sent with a tracking number directly to the housing authority, so they receive a receipt of that, and you have evidence that you have tried with due diligence to get them the correct problem. If they don't want to do it from there, then of course there is different legal recourse and also additional federal protections for you that come with being a participant in a federal program like the Housing Choice Voucher. Long story short. Cayman Sealer, I think Sealer. Hello, Cayman. Glad to have you on the channel. Today we're just talking about a little bit of what's going on. That was early in the video. Right now we're talking about some general things to assist people with, payments, rent, and figuring out their situations. Cayman says, can you suggest anything that I might be able to do with a voucher in hand, but can't find vacancies in town? There is one thing that I tend to use, and this particular website, they were a subcontractor, from what I understand, from the Department of Housing and Urban Development and Indian. And of course, the last part people leave out Indian Affairs. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and link you with that real quick. Let's see if I've got it handy. Bear with me, folks. And what did I do with it? Okay, I found it. So I'm going to copy the link in the chat, and this is going to be for subsidy housing. Let's see, and what did I do with the chat? So it looks like I'm still, okay, I found the chat. Here we go. All right, so there you go. Let me know if you received that link real quick. So that's going to be Affordable Housing Online. That's, I believe, is going to be a federally authorized subcontractor. So the website seems pretty ordinary, but those are actually very good properties to apply if you're considering subsidy. Moving on. So beyond that, I'm going to take a few more comments here and see if I can answer a few questions for you guys, for those of you that are interested. I'm disabled with special needs son and in substandard housing. Oh, so, okay, that was Jessica. Samantha Caney, hello, can you tell me what Washington State looks like? Well, it looks like a piece of dirt on a continent. Washington State. Well, so Washington is beautiful. If you've ever been to Washington, it depends. Now, I hope we're not talking about D.C. Washington is beautiful. It's got mountain around here in the background, the Caymans, sorry, not the Caymans, I should remember the mountain range. I've been to Seattle a few times. But anyways, Washington State's actually very beautiful if you get up to the northern part of it. Lots of big towering pine trees and so on. So kind of an interesting question to ask me. Harlem, L, Israel. How do I apply for Section 8 in California? I must have a weird website or something seems that I can never reach the application. So I will connect you directly with, let's see, I got to pull up a link for you. You guys are making me work today. Let's see. Well, we need to first make sure that you're on the actual correct website. So I never know where you guys are finding things. Google has a lot of websites that are not real, that are fake. These are people that prefer to make websites and ads and different things, and they end up just being websites where they want you to click on ads and all that. They're not actually real. I've seen the first page of Google for most housing authorities. They're actually on the second page, and all the fake and scam websites are on the first page. That happens quite frequently. They'll also clone the web addresses of housing authorities, the whole website, and turn it into a spam machine. There's all kinds of crazy things going on. So I would recommend using HUD.gov and that link that I just gave y'all in order to find the appropriate housing authority and list everyone in the United States. All right, so we'll take a look at a few more comments. Keep bouncing between the screens here. Okay, so we got Linda Archer Barnes. Hello from Savannah, Georgia. I love Savannah. I've been to Stone Mountain, been to Atlanta, and DeKalb County. I have lots of sorry, not DeKalb, but I've been out there before. It's pretty nice, a nice part of the country. Linda Sanders, yes, I took a picture and I defended myself in justice court, and I won my judgment against the landlord. You know, if you got just desserts against a landlord that was acting in bad faith or in violation of federal regulation or laws, then you certainly are welcome to celebrate that victory. You know, it's a rare conclusion to a very dirty situation dealing with landlords that take advantage of tenants, and tenants also do the same to landlords. It's an interesting blend of things that I see play out between landlords and tenants. I hope in the future that there's more regulation with this so people are treated equitably. We'll take a few more comments and see what's going on here. Samantha Caney. Sorry, I meant as far as the subsidized housing status. So, Tina Toppings. Now, I like that name. That's something to remember, okay? Some of you guys need to change your name to something interesting. So, Tina Toppings says, my daughter's name was taken off the Section 8 waiting list here in North Carolina. How can she dispute this? Well, it's not so much a dispute. She wants to appeal that decision. She can call the housing authority directly, and they can give her a form to appeal the decision, as long as it hasn't been an extremely long time. If the housing authority doesn't want to be forthwith or reveal which appeal that you're entitled to, then you can contact the Department of HUD and Urban Development and Indian Affairs. Always add that Indian in there, because HUD in principle was designed with Indians in mind. So I think it's important that we mention all that land we stole from them Indians. You know, they deserve the same kind of good treatment as everybody else. Israel L. Harmon L. Israel donated $1.99. Now, Harmon, I appreciate your donation. That will be used strictly for the benefit of rescue cats and dogs, mostly cats, because I don't see many dogs cross through the neighborhood. So my cats appreciate that. Okay, Linda Sanders says for the molded HUD. So I used to deal in discrimination issues and all that with landlords and debates between housing authorities and HUD and so on. I don't do it anymore because I find that the high propensity of people that try to purchase consults from me based on problems with apartments and disputes with landlords and so on. A vast majority of those cases are from people that are super mentally ill, and so they often invent stories or is part of the delusional process they have. I'm not suggesting that's your problem. I'm just saying those cases are way too complicated for me to spend time on. Now, if you just have a mold issue, I would say that contacting HUD, or Department of Urban Development in DC, or the regional office in Atlanta, and then filing a formal complaint there would be the sufficient process to do. But I no longer personally handle those cases because I would spend a lifetime on just one client, and no, I'm not doing that anymore. October Dawn, another memorable name. Thanks for joining us again, October. So many pandemic animals being dumped. The shelters are packed and euthanizing healthy animals. It's heartbreaking. It is. Those of you who know me know that I love y'all. I love the homeless. I love the mangled, the mental. I love anybody, especially those of you who suffer immensely. You know, we're not all born even. Not everybody's born to have a lineage of a high IQ or the ability to become an engineer or a doctor. Some people born without toes and fingers and arms, but yet we as a society treat those people like trash, and we don't care whether they live under a bridge. Well, I do care. And in the same respect that I care for those people that suffer so many different problems because of their genetics, I care in the same way for those animals. And so that's why I put a lot of time and my effort into it. That's my personal choice. Anybody's welcome to center their self and be as greedy as they'd like. Be super self-centered. Do nothing but buy yourself the best TV and gold jewelry. But when you take your last breath, then you're going to be the only asshole at your funeral, okay? Because certainly I won't be there. I only like dealing with people that have respect for the life they've been given. So that's my personal decision. Maybe I'm hugging a lot of trees in this video. Who knows? Beyond that, October Dawn. It looks like October Dawn was my last commenter. Wow. Y'all are not super busy today asking questions. So I guess a lot of y'all want some doom and gloom because you saw the title of the video. You know, as I mentioned early in this video, you know, I wanted to talk to y'all about the unemployment benefits ending, the eviction memorandum ending at the end of the month, and then the food benefits that were emergency are ending. We were talking about mortgage forbearance. 2.2 million people couldn't pay their mortgage a year ago, and how are they going to come up with that payment now? You know. And so we have this massive tidal wave. And the situation, as I mentioned early in the video, it's much worse than I thought. I mean, the further I look into it, it's worse. So I'm waiting to see how many fighters we have, how many people are willing to fight and not lose everything, how many people will have the, the intelligence, the effort, the spirit to really try to make it through this. Not everybody has a fair advantage. It's sad, but it's true. Not everybody is going to be able to weather the storm. I'm fully prepared to work 10, 15, 18 hours. If that's what it takes to help carry people through this, to get them housing. If you give a man a house, if you can help him keep his house, he can do a lot. You know, us letting people slide on the street, that's not going to help anything for anybody. Okay. Nobody on the street can take a shower and get a job. That's just terrible. So moving on. Jamie Hill, do you help fill out the paperwork and guide us through it all to the end? So that my friend, that's an interesting question. So what I have you do, we will go over what you need to be doing. I cannot collect your social security, driver's license, and all your personally identifying information. So if you're thinking that, I'll make a phone call, and then Jay over at section8consulting.com will fill everything out, submit it, and then when I wake up in the morning and put on my purse, lipstick, it'll all just be done. Now, it doesn't really work that way. How it does work is we go over operational manuals. We talk about the questions and answers that need to be said. We change the answers based on what I know and get you as close. We get you a lot farther than you ever would on your own. And then after you actually fill out those applications, I'll go in and correct answers one direction or another. Since lying is not a violation of state or federal law, except for in a courtroom, sometimes we persuade the answers a bit to favor us really well, especially when you understand what these programs and housing authorities are looking for as far as answers go. So once I get you to that and we correct answers on applications, then it's really up to you to submit that and then they make a determination. Once they make a determination, that's yours. So if you're asking me, hey, can I pay $45 for a consult and will you work for 98 additional hours for free? No, that's the definition of I'm mentally ill. and I need somebody to drag through it. No, I'm not going to do that. So once I consult you on that, we have a brief email period, and you either grasp what we're doing and you're able to get a voucher or you're not. But no, I'm not going to chase you around for months. I'm not going to do 2,000 emails and drive myself wild with that. So I do enough. So I have very little to prove after 20 years of 6 on YouTube. Either I can do what I say I can do, or it's done. It's over with. So yeah. So I hate to put it as brash as that, but I don't have anything to prove. I had a guy ask me the other day, "Hey man, why don't you show me your credentials?" Well, why don't I show you the way out the door? If I wasn't doing what I said I could do for people and wasn't giving them operational manuals, data manuals, legislation, Title 24, represented them adequately, my channel would be filled with angry, pissed off people. But that's anything that's far from reality, right? So anyways, I sound a lot like a lecture, but keep in mind, that is not a lecture. I'm just kind of beefed up on an energy drink right now. So October Donna Hamold, so I've already read that one. Sullivan Brandt, hello, likes the haircut. You know what? It was one summer 6 years ago. I was roasting in a nice hot Texas summer day, about 101 outside. I had to do like all y'all, and I decided that day I've had enough of the mop, wet mop on the top of my head, and I took and shaved it all off. Best damn decision you'll ever make in the Texas heat. You keep a lot of hair. So now I just shave it off. And I don't even have to go and get a haircut now. I just let it run. So I hope you like that. Ian Miles, man, welcome back. Glad to see you back in the channel. Today we're just kind of crawling along into the video, talking about this and that. Since we only really have about 30 or 40 people at any given time, I'm just taking my time, moseying around different topics. October Dawn, how is your leg healing? The infection's still very much real. I have good and bad days. So for those of you that don't know, I suffered a pretty serious infection, and that had to be alleviated at the hospital. And then that ended up causing me chills and fever and making me sick. And then I got out, and then I'm still really suffering from it. When you see me like this, it means I'm usually rested, but my mornings can be terrible when I get up. And then again, my blood pressure dropped again pretty badly. Not in a clinical way, but it dropped, and I felt like I was in Antarctica again. So I may end up having to go back to the hospital, have a surgery in order to cure this, because as it stands, I'm still going through this infection, and it can be quite profound at certain times of day. So yeah, I'll heal. I'm not that old yet, so you don't have to shoot me, put me down like a horse. I'm still going to be here. So looks like we got 41 people. So it looks like everybody's getting off work. If anybody has any questions about Section 8, the low-income housing market, you're welcome to ask. Otherwise, we'll be talking exclusively about the things playing out at the end of the month, the end of the eviction memorandum, which means it's going to be a free-for-all. There are basically landlords loaded. Their bags are loaded with thousands of evictions. They will be lined up at midnight the first day of the next month. So we're in July, August 1st, early at 9 a.m. The courtrooms will be packed around the country. We got an estimated 20 to 40 million people, and they're going to try to see how many people they can evict at one time. I don't need to guess or look at any statistics to know that. I've already talked to a few court process servers, including those in Harris County. We are the 4th largest city, and I've talked to 2 local constables who live in my neighborhood. And though I cannot tell you with high accuracy the numbers, it's pretty flipping high, high enough to give you true shock value. And then when you add that on top of losing the unemployment benefits, that's rolling out the door in the September, not the wait, what's that, 60 days? So once that's gone, there's nothing left for these people, okay? Their furniture is on the front lawn, on the curb, and if they haven't had a relative to save them, finance them, or put them in a hotel, they're gone. So we have a massive wave. And then, of course, the second row of dominoes we talked about falling. If it happens, there's going to be those in forbearance couldn't pay the mortgage for a year. The minute that ends, those payments, then the banks that are owed money and have been owed money for a year are going to want to cash that debt in. And so they'll either have to pay that bank the money when forbearance ends in a little over 30 to 60 days, or their house will be taken from them and they will be ejected to the street. That's no other way to see that. There's no other way to spin that. There's no other reality with it. You can Google the shit out of it, as far as I'm concerned, but that is what it is. So it looks like we got a question here, a loaded one. The chosen one. How can you find out about buying a house in Texas with your voucher? Again, guys, I'm not going to cover any topics related to the purchase of a home, okay? You need to contact a broker or a real estate agent, and those brokers or real estate agents must be licensed, have the special licensing from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I'm not a real estate broker. When I start talking on a video about things that require a license, then that means I'm talking to all 50 states and other nations, and that's illegal for me to do. So you could talk to a HUD specialist would be the best thing to do. That would be the honest thing. Now I realize there's 100 people making videos, and they're doing so illegally. And whenever the government cracks down on that, they're going to be the first people to lose their YouTube channel over that. I'm not getting involved. I purchased a HUD home. I'm happy to speak one day a little bit of length, but it will only be from the perspective of what I went through. It will not be advice. So please don't take that the wrong way. Cynthia Rose Johnson, accessed by Polk County, Florida, COC, 5 weeks ago. Told when they find a match for my needs, one will call me. Lakeland HA list closed, and quote unquote per year's website says we don't do EMG vouchers, but just awarded 60. That is part of the convolution of the game that some of these housing authorities play. And so they have the BOSE system, they have COC, which coordinated entry, housing first. I've been using this for a lot of clients. For those of you who don't realize this, but housing choice vouchers are not the only vouchers out there. Oh, looks like somebody sent $20, and I want to let y'all know and who it is. That's Mr. Gray. Sent $20 to the channel. I'm not going to personally use that money. That will be used in the care of the cats and pets. If you saw the beginning of the video, I have about 22 cats. So this will go towards the injuries and other things sustained by the animals that I save and that I keep in my home. Okay, I don't just donate things. I actually proceed to take the animals to the vet and host them in my home and then become mine. They're not my property. They're the love of my life. So I appreciate you, Mr. Gray. So rotating back to that. For those of you that don't want to struggle through dealing with the housing authority, if you become homeless or imminently homeless, you're just about out the door, I want you to go to your keyboard and your Google on your tablet or your TV, and then you can type in the words continuum of care, coordinated entry, type in housing first. You can type in the McKinney-Beano Act. And so what you see there is something that most of you have never understood or even aware that's even out there. This is a different type of federal funding that you can receive through the continuum of care. And what it does is it issues a voucher very much like the housing choice voucher if you meet the applicable rules. Now, it just so happens that because I'm exceptional at my job, I have most of the manuals, so I do know what needs to be said. And most of my clients actually do get that. Occasionally, we run into counties and cities and states where the demand is overwhelming and too many people are aware of that system. And so then we target other cities and other counties in order to get it. Look, guys, you don't have time to wait on your local housing authority. I don't care if I mail you to Billings, Montana, and the population is 3 people. You don't have time to sit there and wait 8 months to 3 years for a housing authority to hand you a voucher. I just posted on the YouTube channel. If you look in the community tab, so you click on my photo, you land on the main page of my YouTube channel, you'll see there's a community part. In there, you'll see that they just issued 100 vouchers for the city of Reno, Nevada. 100, that's it. So by the time that you take 100 vouchers and you give that to the director of the housing authority there, after she hosts her little party and then hands out about 50 of those as gifts and gives them away like they're gift cards to friends and family, what you have left is 50 more. And I'm not suggesting these are true numbers. Then we're going to go back to the office employees at the housing authority, and then they're going to have a little list of people they really like and the rest of you they don't like. And that's how shit will go down with these housing authorities. If you think for a minute that a housing authority is loaded with people with PhDs that had long, generous careers as people that care, you're sadly mistaken. I can think of about 10,000 people that have visited this channel that can tell you just how horrifying and mismanaged and unregulated a lot of the activities going to housing authorities. They just arrested a man not even half a year ago in Houston. They hired a man off Craigslist with no credentials. They put him in charge of vouchers. You know what he did as his first act as good faith to the city of Houston? He pulled out the vouchers out the drawer, started selling them for $5,000 a piece. Don't believe me? Google it. Now, this is the 4th largest city, and this 4th largest city means the 4th largest what? Housing authority. So we can manage to act at that level of corruption in the fourth largest city. Can you even imagine the magnitude of what's happening in, say, let's say Miami, or let's say Dallas, or let's go somewhere small. So we can pull this off under the federal eyes, under the federal government's guise here in the fourth largest city in the country. Do you really think your housing authority is immune to handing these things out like they're candy and Easter gifts to whoever they favor, they like? Do you not think that these people don't have prejudices, issues with racism, discriminatory behavior? You call them too many times, or maybe you have a mental defect that makes you call every other day. So they've decided that the person that can't stand you and they don't want to give you a voucher. This is the problem that we have to deal with on a constant basis. We're dealing with housing authorities and employees that are trained like pet parrots. Okay, that's what you face. You're walking on glass all the time. You're walking on eggshells with these people. Look, man, if you're not represented adequately and you don't know how to handle these people at the housing authority, if you don't understand the clever ways in which they wrap up these housing authority applications and these lotteries, the federal rules, Title 24, if you don't have their operational manuals, then you sure as shit better hire a consultant. It doesn't need to be me. You can hire anybody you want. Your other option is you can roll around YouTube. They've got lots of tips and tricks. Channels. 3 steps to a voucher. When's the last time that bullshit ever worked? Okay, lots of 3-minute video is going to fix all the problems in your life. That's 99% of YouTube. Idiots. So you have to make a decision. Are you willing to risk your housing on nuts on YouTube or old articles on Google? A lot of these articles on Google, man, look, that you're talking about somebody wrote a good article in 1997. Since then, 483 news agencies have now copied that one article. They've respun it as new bullshit, and then they reissue it as a new article. And you guys read that stuff as if it were pages out the Bible. I bet if you try to quote you, well, that's the law. No, it's not, lady. Look, you have no idea. Others, some of you, oh, well, I go to HUD.gov. Let me tell you something, guys. You guys that are pulling all your information from HUD.gov, please look it up. The teenagers, the children in diapers that are running the social media of that company, the government website is a joke. Half the articles on HUD.gov are so old and outdated, it's an absolute joke. You guys are taking it as if it were the Bible. Let me tell you something. Every time we get a new president, every time we get new regulation that's written into these program guides, like 1024.10, when they change that, do you think on HUD.gov they're going to go back and rechange 60,000 articles? No, it's just old shit. It's worthless. So just understand me. I'm being as real as possible. You guys you're believing too much of what you think you know, and what you think you know isn't good enough. Trust me. So let me take a few comments here before I get too fired up about housing authorities trying to handle you guys. So, Mr. Gray, yes, thank you for doing that. Oh, no problem, Mr. Gray. Like I said, I enjoy having you on the channel. I certainly appreciate your donation. All my furry friends will definitely appreciate your, your donations. So I definitely thank you for that. Cynthia Rose Johnson, I'm 62, physically, mentally disabled, evicted 524. You have zero income. It looks like do I or maybe have a chance? I reached out to them twice by email. I think you said the paper trail, but no response. Well, Cynthia, I have so many cases, it's hard to remember specifically, if we consulted on that matter, but I can tell you this. We have to, when you're dealing with housing authority, you have to keep at them almost on a weekly basis. So I don't know. That's not enough case details for me to go an elaborate explanation. So maybe you'll give me some more details in the bottom of the comments. L.M. Sanders, you're a great example of how we should be offering our talents to others. Lift them up and instead of tipping each other. Thank you for blessing. You are fine, sir. I certainly appreciate that, but my reward will come the last day I take my breath. Guys, it doesn't take much for us to go out there and help people. A simple action of hearing things, learning how this stuff works, and talking to those people out there that are too ashamed to ask for help. Those are the people that need help. So if you learn something here, carry it out. Look, my life mission is not to become rich off of Section8Consulting.com. I only do 4 consults a day. That's it. I could run this thing around the clock just to see how much money I can make, but it's not an interest to me. I do other things. I have a life. But So with that being said, anytime you learn something, try to help your neighbors and your friends, especially if it's working. You guys are reporting all the time in the channel when housing authorities are open, when new ways work. And that's the kind of information we need to be sharing one man to the next. Because that's how we're going to get through all of this, is an information network of helping. So let's take a look at a few more comments. Jessica says, Baltimore City has the HUD person fired, stole millions. I typed in lawsuit, housing authority. Google pulled up 428,000 results. Is anybody shocked by that? I bet if I put in the word housing authority criminal, that it would probably pull up 2 billion results. It's really devolved. You're talking about a housing authority. So when you think about housing authority, what is it? It's it's supposed to be county employees dispersing federal funds. What it usually is a bunch of uneducated people sitting in a building, acting in an unethical manner. But however, that's not every case in every city. But I got to tell you, the evidence is pretty overwhelming. It's pretty overwhelming around the country that a lot of the housing authority system does not work. There is not a system of accountability in place that's sufficient, in my opinion. But again, that's my opinion. But I don't think that the millions of search results that are rendered could be fake. It would take a hell of a campaign just to actually invent this. So we'll see. Crystal Lynn, I have an appointment with you on August 2nd, but my mother loses her apartment the 31st. I was wondering if you could get help sooner. You would want to contact me by email so we can make arrangements with that. It's important to remember, guys, I have almost 80 people in line right now that I'm consulting with. I also have a lady that was, she was so I told you all early in the video, she is a United States Air Force veteran. She served her country faithfully for 4 years. She was attacked by a loved one, and she was stabbed close to 20 times. And in her defense, waving her hand, lost most fingers. And so those are the kind of cases that I'm trying to fight first. I understand we all have emergencies. I do my best to prioritize based on the severity. So I will do what I can, absolutely. However, I cannot work 24 hours a day, guys. I'm doing as best and as fast as I can. But look, anytime I've got a veteran, and it wouldn't matter even if she was a veteran. The mere fact of what that woman has suffered through deserves attention. We all have bad things happening, but any of you guys out here think you got it hard because you got to get out in a month? Imagine this woman who served her country could not get help, and now she's homeless because the city of Los Angeles fucked it up so badly that they don't even want to help her. They invited her to the street after the hospital. This is a woman that served the United States Air Force, a woman of all things, gave us all that she had, and our answer to her service was, we'll just put your ass on the street and we won't answer the phone anymore. This is the garbage. This is the ultimate level of shit this country delivers to people sometimes. I'm not blaming America, but I have a real big issue with the people making decisions in Los Angeles. Because every time I see some fat person in slippers walking around in a HUD home, and the only reason they got a voucher because that fat ass can't get off a couch, I got a problem with that. Well, I've got people in wheelchairs that can't get a voucher. I've got elderly people that are near death with cancer, can't get a voucher. But you got Sally Mae, who's got fucking ding-dongs, you know what I'm saying? And little Debbie hanging out her mouth, and she's got a voucher in Los Angeles. I've got a veteran that's been near her death. She can't get a voucher because you got Bob that just finished his crack smoking career, and he's burning up the voucher. So you see my point, how upsetting this is for me? Just some of the stuff that I'm seeing play out. And this is just how it plays out in Los Angeles. Let's not talk about the rest of the city. So yes, it's quite upsetting. I definitely want to help people. So anyways, I'm going to leave that alone because that's an emotional topic for me, that we literally have trash just getting vouchers simply because they can do it. Talk about abusive. That's abusive. All right. So I'm going to move back now. Crystal Lynn, hi. Okay, so I already covered that. Faithful, that's right. I don't think they update them at all. Yeah, that is an unfortunate situation. And also, I think a lot of housing authority employees are working from home, and I think they're woefully understaffed in a lot of cities. And so what's happened is A lot of people are so nervous. They're doing a lot of calls and emails. So I think the workers are actually having a hard time keeping up with the sheer demand because they're not funded very well. So yeah, I could see how that might go badly. Michelle Tester, how about being homeless for 20 years? I have a physical disability, currently in a SIP hotel in SL. It sounds like you've got an SRO because I used to live in parts of San Francisco and you're working, but I haven't gotten any help from anyone. San Francisco is a tough nut to crack because you're talking about an island, and the only place you'll ever see grass in San Francisco is if you visit a park. They've stuffed every building they can on the property out there. In fact, I'll tell you what, Michelle, I used to live in, let's see, not too far from the Castro. It was, if I can remember, it was a long time ago. Man, my mind's slipping today. So, but anyways, well, what I can tell you is this. We have to look at your case details, see what's going on there. There's probably about 60 to 70 social organizations in San Francisco Bay Area. I've got to tell you that San Francisco has got more resources than any other city combined. San Francisco does a great job of helping people, but the one thing they've been unable to manage is the homeless population. So while they have all these fantastic resources, they have GA, food stamps, and other things for their city. The one area that they fail a lot is just simply not having any affordable housing for the homeless, and it makes it difficult for that city. So a lot of the people in the Bay Area, San Francisco, we end up having to discuss going to different counties outside the Bay Area. Let's move back down, JW. She should go viral and get what she deserves. I'm not quite sure how to interpret what you're saying there. About the lady, about the ding dongs and the other stuff. Okay, yeah, you're right. I wish I could identify some people that are scamming these vouchers, Faithful, oh, poor woman. Yeah, well, poor is way beyond it. I don't think anybody wants to be stabbed 20 times, served the country, and then left for homeless. I think it's the most shameful fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And to be frank with you, the gravity, the scope of that is way beyond emotional level. Even having the conversation with that particular person today left me in tears in the middle of a consult. So now, as I always say, sometimes you see how hard it can be to even have conversations because you get lopsided by such devastating things on the phone. And it's hard not to feel the pain of somebody when they go through that. So, Michelle Tester, no, it's a COVID hotel. Okay, well, that's good. Well, at least you're in a hotel. I got a lot of people that from the Orange and LA area, we can't even get into a hotel because they burned to the federal funds. So, Jessica says our vets deserve tax-free housing anywhere they desire. I wish that would become a reality. And yes, it doesn't matter if you served in Iraq or if you were just serving, typing on the keyboard. The fact is, you went into the military. You didn't know whether or not you were going to be in a war or behind a keyboard. Doesn't matter. The fact that you were willing to serve is enough for me. Crystal Lynn, that is terrible. Absolutely, Miss Lynn. JW, San Francisco is for high income people, period. Yes, San Francisco used to be a really groovy place. I got to tell you, I was proud of San Francisco for many years, especially through the 80s. Now it's become nothing but for the rich. So they ruined the culture the Bay Area in a lot of ways because of that. It really sucked the culture out of it. Michelle Tester, yeah, I'm an example of 20 years. Cynthia Rose Johnson, have first appointment set with you August 1st. I have just been trying to learn from your vids. Even got a copy of the annual plan for Lakewood. Good, you're doing some homework. It's important. You guys that are doing, I got some clients that really do a really fantastic job of really digging into this and wanting to fight their case. Let me tell you, I've got more fighters lately. These are people that hire me and want to work with me to get to realize the maximum potential of what we can get to get the voucher. There are other people that call me that are so entitled that I have to hang up and just give them their money back because they think it's a Macy's. They walk through. I should maybe pull out hors d'oeuvres and some champagne for them, and then I have to go tell them to fuck off because I don't have time for ignorant people. So, if you're coming from chandeliers and caviar, my consulting services is going to be terrible for you because I'm actually going to ask you to work for the first day in your life, not just be rich. So I think I nailed that right on the head. Cynthia Rose, I have first appointment set. Okay, so I already covered that. Sullen Bryant, push the like button, everyone. We appreciate you, Brian. Hey, you know what, guys? If you like it, like it. One of the things that's unique about my channel is I never beg you guys to become subscribers. I never bring that up in not a single video. I don't give a damn if you do it. I don't think you should have to sit there and panhandle for subscribers. You start every video on YouTube. Think about this, guys. When you go on YouTube and you watch a video, what do they always start with? Well, with this video, we're going to, just like a robot. What's the second thing they do? They spend 8 minutes begging you, panhandling for what? That you need to go and click every fucking button in the channel for them. Please press this. Please swipe that. Please go there and let me annoy you. I've never asked you once to like. In fact, if you'd like to dislike all my videos, please take a half hour to rewind and go through and dislike as many videos as you want. It will not hurt my feelings, okay? My life does not depend on whether or not you hate my videos. I quite enjoy the excitement when people like to troll me, and especially when you give me a dislike. So please stop, give me a dislike if you're feeling bad today. If that makes you feel better, please do it. Stop now and hit that dislike. Anyways, I'm just joking, guys. So can we make a GoFundMe for this veteran? I'm considering that, but there are legal ramifications, and I definitely don't want, until I can actually verify everything for this veteran, I'm not particularly should get involved in that directly, because a lot of these GoFundMe pages end up going the wrong direction with things. They withhold money, and then it ties me into it. I will ask this particular veteran if they would like to participate in something like that, and then I'll have her set it up, and then I will make y'all aware of it. But I don't want to mediate that because I believe that's how scams and things go bad. Last time we heard about a homeless person doing this, they stole about $80,000 from people, and it was all set up. So I will talk to her, and if she sets it up, I will be more than happy, even myself, to donate to that, because I really do genuinely believe she needs help. So beyond that, Sarah Hernandez, supportive housing case manager over here. Hello, Sarah. I'm glad to have you in the channel. And I can tell you that if Ms. Hernandez is a supportive housing case manager, then she knows a great deal about what we're speaking about. I appreciate all of your videos. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. So I appreciate your service as well. I would suspect that Ms. Hernandez, if she works in that field, that most of you that receive continuum of care housing funds, this is a person you would actually be speaking to. Although she's not a housing navigator, she takes a different role of responsibility in the continuum of care, possibly in shelters and other things. So there you go. There's another professional in the field that's, announced who she is. So we certainly appreciate having you here. Tamisha Bryant, can you explain this family self-sufficiency FSS program for people who have Section 8 vouchers? Tamisha, matter of fact, I'm going to make that my next goal. Matter of fact, not today, but tomorrow, we're going to cover that, and we're going to cover 3 programs, because there's not a whole lot to be said about FSS. There's some, but it's not enough to go into a long, engaged video. So I'm going to wrap together several different programs that a lot of you don't know about, and then we'll see if some of you can actually utilize some of those dusty programs. One thing we don't do so well with housing authorities and other agencies is they don't tell you about all these programs, and a lot of them just die fully funded with not a single participant. And so, yeah, you're right. So we'll discuss that FSS program. LM Sanders, real quick, that Continuum website. Okay, let me grab that for you. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to provide a link per person here. All right, so I'm going to give you every known COC for the United States. So that'd be the Continuum of Care, Housing Choice. I'm sorry, Continuum of Care, Housing First, or the McKinney back. I'm getting a little bit tired, but McKinney-Vino Act programs. Let's see, COC locations. All right, look out for this link. Here it comes. This is for Continuum of Care, every known one in America, and this is a federal list issued by HUD itself, so we know that we have 100% accuracy there. These are not guessing on this deal. And then let's take a look at some more comments here real quick. All right, Jessica, can we make it? Okay, so we already mentioned that one. Tamisha, it's been really tight, but I'm just thankful that I was able to make it through this period. I'm glad, Faithful, that you did weather this, and I think that some others have. A lot of people are fighters. Some of my toughest fighters were people that virtually didn't have money before the pandemic, and they weathered the storm great. And so I'm proud of those of you that don't have every available resource in life, but I find that the lowest income people actually weathered this much better than ordinary people, because people that are lowest income and on the streets and in shelters, these people already know how to fight. The unfortunate scenario is I have to teach a lot of you that have lived with a tiny amount of privilege or a lot how to fight. And it's tough sometimes keeping you guys, keeping you straightened out. So, Silverman Bryant, you have me laughing. Okay. Well, that's good, man. I always want to be a comedian with a microphone. So, yeah, I appreciate you, Sullivan. Jessica, your knowledge you share is priceless. I appreciate that. It does come with a price. Lots of lost sleep. And, of course, my cats get upset when I don't have time to pet them. Faithful says, that would be me. I would be crying, too, if I was you. Man, I got to tell you, I had 1 week it was tough. I think I was in tears about, I don't know, 8 or 9 times because the stories just kept rolling. And something about seniors and pets and sidewalk, people get stabbed and other things. All you can do is just suck it up on the phone. You know, your client knows that you barely can speak because it really does hit home. So you got to tell you. All right. So LM Sanders, thank you. Darlene Collins. Can you please explain how you get Section 8 home ownership? Goodness. Why do y'all guys keep asking about Section 8? Look, you have to have a HUD specialist that's a real estate agent to discuss that with you. I am not entitled or privileged by law. I'm not a broker or real estate agent, and I'm not certified by HUD to do so. Anybody giving advice about home purchases or voucher programs in regards to HUD is committing a crime. So I don't do that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm happy to give you my opinion on a purchase of a hard home, but I'm not going to give you advice on how to do it, okay? So I'm sorry if that's disappointing. Jessica says, is there a disability verification form to get signed to take to my HUD job? So it is the absolute responsibility of the housing authority to issue a form, and that form on there should have about 4 to 8 questions. It would ask your medical professional a select number of questions, not so much your diagnosis, but whether or not you would be able to work the next 4 to 6 months, within a year, will this be lifelong? And so once your doctor checks those boxes, leave his name and number on that form, you take it back to the housing authority, and congratulations, you have a disability. A lot of you are bringing you're putting wheels, just screwing wheels on your filing cabinet, and you're putting a rope on it, and you're dragging it all the way to the housing authority. Please take a look at my 948,000 pages of disabilities. Okay, I'm exaggerating. But look, guys, it's a simple form. You don't need to prove your whole case to these people. Any housing authority employee that would convince you otherwise that they need to keep your personal HIPAA-protected medical files in their private safe, that is a scam. That is a violation of federal law, and you shouldn't be doing that, okay? Crystal Lynn, there is currently a statewide end project-based housing in Kansas right now. HUD is flooded with processing housing choice vouchers. I'm not sure it will pan out. Well, and you know, Crystal Lynn, you're speaking about exactly what I have been mentioning throughout this video. Every housing authority, you know, it last took us about 80% of them are closed. Now we're moving towards 90. And by the end of the month, when this whole thing pops and blows up, and we've got 20 to 40 million people up for eviction, all calling housing authorities, the phone lines are going to melt. The emails will snap and blow up. You know, I know that's an extreme way to put it, but it's funny. But thing is, we're almost at that point. We have 10 days left. And then you couple that with another 60 days loss of unemployment benefits. Then the mortgage forbearance ends, where all these people now owe all that money for the home they couldn't pay for a whole year. Another 2.2 million hits the street, and then we'll inundate sort of 50 million people in America, all calling the housing authority. The housing authority can accommodate how many people a year? Less than 1,000. Tell me how this is supposed to work out, guys. How much of this video is actually sensational? Is it real that all this will be happening? Is it already planned out? Yeah, absolutely. How big will it be? I don't know. We'll see. You know, it's just like I said, it's 3 times in the video. It's like predicting the weather. I know that it's happening, but I can't tell you how many raindrops. You know, Ruth. Oh, hi, Ruth. Good seeing you again. If you see a special badge by somebody's name, it means they donated a few dollars to the channel, and they've been given a special badge. So if any of y'all are competitive, you're welcome to purchase a membership to the channel. They're a few dollars, and they actually go up to different levels. So it's strictly up to you all. I'm certainly not going to sit here and try to make money off of badges and memberships. Okay, that's not what this channel's about, but you're welcome to do so. Crystal Lynn, the cost of living in Kansas is much lower than other states. You know what I found for you guys is really cheap? You can buy a condo in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, I know it's Oklahoma. Don't beat it up. I love people from Oklahoma. But damn it, $35,000, you can buy a 2-bedroom condo at 1,200 square feet, almost brand new. That's a pretty hot deal. Maybe you guys need to save the Social Security checks and move down there to Tulsa. Look, I would, you know what? If I didn't have a lot of money and I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of money for the future, I sure as shit would live in a cow pasture in a nice home than I would live in a city with gunshots and my neighbor was a prostitute. Look, guys, y'all got to make better decisions. You can live better with less. And if Tulsa has got the cheapest market and step in a market like Kansas, then maybe it's time to leave the city of New York. You're not forced to live in a broom closet for $4,000 a month. You know, so you put the key into the broom closet, you open it, and then that's your apartment. That's what a lot of you living like. Look, dogs in the pound get more room than that. I've got people living in basements, garage. I got a mother and daughter, small daughter, living in a garage. It hasn't been sheetrock. There's no AC in there. She's living in the garage. I mean, literally. A father, 12 children, tents, 3 of them, 12 kids, all in the woods. Because he's not abusing his children, Health and Human Services says, well, there's no violation of laws. So he and his children will remain camping in the woods as homeless people because he's not abusing his children. And so that's a priority, isn't it, when it happens? And so that's just one of the many hundreds of cases I hear about. And if you work in casework or as a casework manager, social worker, you know precisely I'm telling the truth. For those of you in the field already that watch my channel, you know I'm telling the truth. Anyways, JW, maybe Biden will pass a universal housing voucher. We made a video about that. That was the last one. And right now they're going to be adding that into infrastructure plan. Now, if they can't get it in there, they will amend it without the other bipartisanship, and then 500,000 vouchers will hit the market. Excellent. That means everybody gets a voucher as if they're popping out of a bubblegum machine. But the problem is, do we have enough landlords that want to take those? That's going to be the next part. Then we have bigotry, we have racism, we have ignorant people. You know what I'm saying? So can we get ignorant people that own properties to rent? That's the thing. We still have a problem in this country. And so so I'm hoping there's going to be lots of good landlords. I turned down a third of the landlords that asked me to consult for them because they act in principle as trash. And I'm not going to subject tenants to living in their properties or consult for them when I know they're slumlord. So I actively reject landlords that I know are acting in a criminal or otherwise unethical manner. So trust me, not every landlord is on the even, and they're not going to hire me to manipulate the system to favor their checkbook. I won't do it. Moving on from that, Cynthia Rose Johnson. You are a great teacher, a great motivator. I'm feeling more like I can do this. I've been extremely depressed since I lost my kittens to the animal control. I spent last week alerting rescue and foster. See, now that makes me sad because I don't like to see anybody to lose their pets. Any of you that don't have children or your children have gone and left, your pets and your animals are living things. They have as right to much to live as humans. They should be treated with the same amount of equity and love that anything else should. If your parents didn't raise you, or you are genetically unable to understand what it means to act in a human manner, then maybe you should be euthanized. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very sad for you. It's heartbreaking, and I get a lot of those cases. I'm hoping that a lot of you that are being forced out of your homes, that are trying to get these pets to different homes, because I take that very seriously. I don't like seeing anybody lose their pets. It's so serious for me. Faithful, today I was looking at all the flooding that was going on in Germany and now also in China, and even here in the United States and in New York. I'm nowhere near New York City. Now, wait a minute. Well, Faithful, I'm not quite sure how you structured that thing, but I don't think so. You were commenting about flooding in Germany and China, and then you mentioned that you're nowhere near New York City. So that's kind of an interesting way of putting things. I'm not quite sure what you're trying to tell me. I do feel bad for those floods. Yeah, absolutely. Angel Fuentes, I think I'm saying that right. Is that Fuentes? You're in Cali. All right. Well, man, I do feel bad, a little bit bad for you, Angel, because if you're in Southern California, it's a tough ride out there, man. I hope you're in North California. Faithful says you have to have been on HUD Section 8 renting for a full year before you can actually apply for the program to buy a house or use a voucher for the program. Well, that may be so. And also, if you have a housing choice voucher in a year, you may use that voucher to port to any city or housing authority in America that will accept your voucher. That is called porting. And when you port a voucher, they're either billing or they're receiving. I get a lot of people that asked earlier this year about porting. Now nobody asks anymore because everybody's scared to move and not find a place to live. So everybody's trying to weather in place right now. Okay, guys, we've been talking for a while. The questions have started to die down, so I think that we've kind of beat the horse to death a little bit with this today. So we're going to wrap this up. If anybody has any last quick remaining questions, I'm glad to cover those. Otherwise, I'm going to go pet the cats and move on with my day. I've got a ton of casework to do for people. Get up 4 in the morning and help them with housing authorities and other things. So looks like we don't have any other big questions going on. So I want to tell you guys I appreciate y'all joining us again for the news, and for better or worse. And we'll continue to get together and talk every other day live and then see how things play out for us in America. And hopefully we'll be able to see whether or not we can help each other. Look, guys, if you pay for a consult with me and you learn something, look, that doesn't need to be the end of the road. You need to take what you know and share it with people, okay? This is not about greed and money. It's about getting the word out to help whoever you can. And I want to thank Mr. Gray again as he's given another $10 donation. And he says, by the way, reason for your exit denial, no vouchers available at this time. But I had a valid voucher in hand. No appeal info in the denial letter, but I was sent a request to USPS and I got a reply. That reply was done so in December 2020 for the Bay Area. Well, Mr. Gray, it sounds like you have been to hell and back with that. Definitely would want to hear more of your case details to see. So, and oh, yes, cats rule. Yes, let me tell you something. I'll never argue that point with you. Oh, yes. Hi, Mr. Gray. That's part 2. Please read the first super chat. Mr. Gray, when I log out of this live chat, I'm going to rewind the comments because at this point it's too long. And then I need to stop anyways for the video. My voice is becoming strained because when you talk continuously, it gets difficult on the vocals. See me go. Wait, I have a question. All right, Mr. See me go. What question would you like to ask me? Remember, I do this every other day. And it's when I'm in the mood to do it. And I do so usually between 4 p.m. Central Standard Time in Texas. All right. Look it up on your Google what Central Times is for Texas. So between 4 p.m. and about 7 p.m. And it's every other day. Very predictable. But I just don't give you specific time. I like to, when I feel in an absolute peak mood, I get on and we do it. See me go. I need that question if you would. Otherwise, I'm going to close it out. And then Faithful says, amen. Living in the middle of a cow pasture in a nice house instead of the city. Absolutely. There's no reason. There's better places in this country to live. Some of you are putting yourself through it. Look, if you don't have family and friends and children and all that in the city, move somewhere nice. Okay. All right, see me go. I have not heard that question, man. I'm going to have to close it out. Why don't you hit me up by email, and then I'll try to answer it that way, okay? It's been a pleasure and an honor serving all of you. When I hear back from that veteran, I will figure out whether or not a GoFundMe would be something that would be appropriate to share for the channel and within the rights or rules of YouTube. If it is so, then y'all can work with that veteran and then help her out if you wish, all right? So with that being said, y'all have a good night.